That's what I call pro talk. When you really don't know the answer, you just make it up.
My rut is that I am in a rut.
To get the pilot of Red Arrow going. This is really a way to skip class.
I want to say, hey, those boys right there are entertainers.
There you go. That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said on this podcast.
Alex Rutledge here with American Roots Outdoors TV.
Hey, this is Lee and Tiffany Lukoski from the Crush TV.
Hi, I'm Don Higgins.
This is Jeff Lindsay.
Hey, everybody, this is Mark Drury with Drury Outdoors.
Hey, this is Craig Fitz of Trained Assassins TV. You're listening to Dave and JP on Pro Talk Outdoors, the craziest two I know.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pro Talk Outdoors. Clicking on for another episode, and this past weekend we had an opportunity to go to the Hunters Helping Haiti event that was hosted by the Sherman Church of Christ and organized by our good buddy Terry Peer, and Terry did just an absolutely fabulous job of setting that up, getting a lot of people to participate and come buy tickets, but getting a lot of folks to donate stuff either for door prizes, for raffles, for silent auction, all that good stuff. He did a spectacular job and raised over $17,000 to help Haiti on a mission trip.
That was a tremendous event.
That was unbelievable.
I mean, you know, ticket sales getting through the door. There was over 200 people paid entrance there, and it's just a tremendous time. Our buddy Paul from Whitetail Factor, he gave a nice little speech and talked a little bit, and Don Higgins just knocked it out of the park like he always does. Good stuff, you know. And Terry just did a fantastic job kind of illustrating the entire night. Good meal.
He did an excellent job as an MC.
He did.
He thanked everyone in there but himself, of course. And I know you and I were lucky enough to have a couple minutes to thank him on the mic there. He had us do some raffle drawings at the end. But I just want to take this moment as well, whether Terry listens to this episode or not, that guy is just doing the right things.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry, if you're listening. And I know you click on most of these. He's doing the right things. The central message was, you know, just being a good person and being better people for mankind. And that really resonated. And the speakers that he had come on made that the central theme of the night. And he embodied that throughout emceeing. I really want to thank Terry for giving me a great few hours of my weekend to spend and think about people who need our help.
It kind of goes, I don't want to say unnoticed, but it's almost a thankless job as far as, you know, everybody else appreciating how much time he actually spent in that, you know, and how much time he had to sacrifice of just his free time, you know, where he could have been spending time with his family, or he could have been hunting, or you know, whatever, going out shed hunting or whatever. And you know, that kind of hit home. I talked to Terry a little bit last night and on the phone, and he was talking about how, you know, he was probably going to have to work 5 or 6 hours later in the night, and I think I talked to him at like 10 o'clock at night, and then he was going to have to work like 12, 14-hour days for a while to catch up, and all that just so he could put on that event, raise that money for such a great cause. And you know, we just appreciate the fact that we were able to go and participate for one night. Terry did it for months.
Absolutely, and this is completely apples to oranges, and it's not a good comparison, but it's the only one I can make. I do a fundraiser softball tournament every year in memory of my dad, and it's a much smaller event than what Terry put on. But I just think about how much effort has to go into just my small event, and I think about how to extrapolate that into something the size of what he did. Man, it's breathtaking, and it's really props to him. Terry did a great job, and actually one of the fellows that we had met once before but run into and got to talk to a little bit longer that night, Mike Chambliss, coming on, and he absolutely blew up at the NWTF show.
Yeah, he did. I mean, just a super guy. I know he killed a giant deer. I think they called him Stump Grinder a couple years ago or a couple seasons ago that absolutely loved the Maximizer. That's one thing I'd like to talk to him about when we have him on the podcast. But one of the things that he just blew up there, he's got an apparel line. And it Bonehead Gear, I think, is what it is. But he's got a branch of it they kind of just came up with. It's Spur.
The logo, so
just
cool.
A cool logo, and he really blew up at the NWTF. That's about the only way you can say it. He got really popular, sold out of a bunch of stuff, and we're gonna talk to him a little bit about not only his brand and apparel, but talk some turkey as well.
Yeah, we want to talk strategy a little bit, early season decoy placement and how that may vary across the country in different regions and how you call in relation to that decoy setup. So we want to have a little bit of focus there on some turkey tactic for you because a lot of this stuff is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Just like this interview. We'll be back. You're listening to Pro Talk Outdoors.
A quick word from Dr. Aaron Gaines of Real World Wildlife Products discussing some of the positive effects of Expect Healthy Deer technology.
Well, I would say in the case of Expect Healthy Deer technology, in terms of the benefits, it's certainly more than just a way to help combat against EHD. In terms of some of the other benefits, like I discussed earlier, it enhances the immune system, so keeping your deer herd healthy from disease and other health risk, improving digestion. So you think about growing that antler. If we can improve digestion, we're going to have better performance in terms of antler growth and reproduction in the doe. We talk about antler growth. We've got ingredients in that technology that help support growth of the antler in terms of nutrient delivery to growing antlers. We talked about the fact that it helps reduce biting insects in the case of the midgefly, but even other insects that are a nuisance to the deer in the wild or even in captive deer that causes discomfort and makes that deer less productive. It mitigates heat stress. So if we can mitigate some of that heat stress, that's pretty costly to the animal energetically. So if we can keep that animal more comfortable, they're going to be more productive. And then we've got some appetite stimulants in that product. So really trying to drive consumption of the Expect Healthy Deer technology. And frankly, for, the deer hunter, we want to make sure they keep coming back. I mean, and that's one of the things we want to do is we want to grow and hold deer on your property with our products.
Thanks, Aaron. And for a complete list of the products including the Expect Healthy Deer technology, you can go to Real World Wildlife Products website at www.realworldwildlifeproducts.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pro Talk Outdoors, and just as we promised, Mike Chambliss, the mastermind behind this new craze in the outdoor and turkey industry, has joined the show. And Mike, the Spur thing really took off at the NWTF. How did you create that as a part of Bonehead, and when did you know it was going to be such a crazy popular apparel line?
Well, to be honest with you, we came up with Bonehead Brand as we were deer hunting. We have a TV show, and we just was trying to come up with an apparel brand that we could wear just casual around the house, whatever, and get some footage with it. And then it kind of started taking off. Some of our friends wanted hats and shirts and whatnot. Next thing you know, I love to turkey hunt, so to have a Bonehead brand for the deer side, I was just trying to come up with something for the turkey side. And Spur it popped in my head, and I kind of was going over fans, no, beards, no, whatever, and Spur, Spur.
Well, it's simple, it's clear, it's clean, and man, I mean, the logo is awesome. Did you design that yourself, or did you have help?
No, I drew everything, designed it. I took a font that I liked and just kind of added the point on the R and the spur on the P, and kind of made it. I wanted it simple. I wanted it nice, and something that was just catchy, and it's already catchy. Now it looks good.
Well, you really hit a home run, man, and I know you had a great NWTF show, but heck, all that is beside the fact that you just love to turkey hunt, and I know that's the main point we wanted to talk to you about tonight. Is there's so many different seasons coming in, different times of the year all across the country.
Do you mainly hunt Indiana, Mike, or you hunt other places as well?
Well, because of our TV show, we've got to expand. So I turkey hunt in Kentucky, Indiana. We have a farm in Indiana, and then we have a couple of pieces of property that we can hunt also in Indiana. We can hunt in Ohio also. Got I'm from Georgia originally, so Georgia is gives us an opportunity to hunt, and we have my partner Buddy Stafford has some property in Alabama, so we're kind of all over.
So now, with all these different states that you have the ability to go to, obviously that has a range of season dates that come in. So how do you orchestrate your strategy on an early season turkey hunt, and mainly decoy placement? Do you change how you do that kind of thing in an early season hunt somewhere versus a season like Indiana that comes in a little later?
Well, yeah, I guess, Georgia and Alabama, they're coming in 2 weeks. And so, our road trip, and say you can call it what you want, but it's basically a defined road trip, so we have to, when we get to those places, those birds are usually really hot, and we get there and we get on them, and, sometimes we run and gun at them, and sometimes we set up, and, we know where we've got some good places where they're really going to come, and they're going to come to decoys. And then, when you get back up here, when it warms up a little bit more up here in Kentucky and Indiana, to me, the season is so much later. And, last year on our farm in Indiana, they were gobbling so long, a month or so before, and the turkeys are different. So, yeah, it was a little less running and gunning at them, where we were setting up and calling and being patient.
So let me ask you this, Mike. So, like, when you say you're going down to Georgia and Alabama, and those seasons are coming in earlier, so you're probably on the front side a little bit of the breeding cycle there for the turkeys. Do you find that that's a little bit higher success rate, or you do a little better when you run and gun, and you can kind of get a little mouthy with them when you're calling back and forth, and or do you normally just kind of shut it down, or and just camp out on them and wait for them to come out there in those breeding zones or those strut zones?
No, well, you're right. It's kind of a both. You just kind of play it by ear when you get there. I love both, but with it being the early part of that breeding season, you can kind of go after one. You can get closer, get on him, try to get him to you as fast as you can. I mean, we're in a window of time, so if that was the only place I was going, it'd be a little different techniques, but, we're trying to get in and out of there, get some really good footage and try to get, a few birds on the ground. But, like I said, when you get back to Indiana, game changes. Hens are on the nest already, probably got a few eggs, and it changes. It's just a little different.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I know in Indiana here, there's a lot of guys that I kind of do a little belly aching maybe every year, complaining about the fact that our season kind of comes in late in the breeding cycle, and makes it a little bit tougher. It's a little harder because as soon as those birds pitch down in the mornings, they're a lot of times henned up immediately, and then you got to kind of wait till the hens go off and get on their nest before you can get one to kind of give you some action.
Yeah, you're right. Most of the more action around 9:30, 10 o'clock than it is, right off the get-go, right off the limb. I mean, to me, I laugh about it. It seems like the gobblers have got sore throats by the time turkey season comes in Indiana.
Yeah, they do. So do you, given that situation, do you put a whole lot of stock in doing things like going out the night before and roosting a bird, or do you kind of, depending on, maybe you do in Georgia or Alabama, but maybe it's not as effective in Indiana because a lot of those birds are not going to be where they roost at by the time they're killable?
You're right. The NWTF, we donated a youth hunt last year to a little girl who was 10 years old, and we got out there that morning, and it even youth season, the turkeys had been gobbling for about 3 or 4 weeks. And I told Mr. Walcott, which is Elena's dad, he's a good friend of mine now. We've become really good friends since that hunt. But he, I told him, I said, I don't know what to expect this morning. I have no idea. I think they're going to fly down and go the other way. just the way they've been acting, and but it got to like 40 degrees that morning too. It was kind of cool, for early season. But that morning it just changed, and we heard like 17 gobblers going off at one time, but they wouldn't respond. We called right off the limb, they wouldn't respond. Then they hit the ground and shut up. And then next thing I know, but we were sitting on the alfalfa field, and I knew they were coming. We just had to sit tight and wait for it to play out, and then eventually they started gobbling again, and we started pulling them to the field, and sure enough, she killed a double 10-inch beard gobbler as her first turkey ever.
Double 10-inch beard. That's a heck of a bird, man.
Oh yeah, we got it on video. It's gonna be on our TV show, March 26th of this month.
Awesome. That's excellent. That is a double 10-inch. I mean, I've killed a triple bird bearded bird. I can't get it out.
Bird beard, huh?
Yeah.
You can tell where my mind's at right now. But I've killed a triple bearded bird before, but it was like a 10-inch beard, and then you get one like maybe a 6-inch beard, and then you get a little 2 or a 3-inch beard or something. But
you're right.
That's pretty rare.
So
when we walked up on it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I think this is I knew I could see the cuticle, of the beard. I was like, I think it's got a double beard, and I was expecting maybe a 10 and a 6, or something.
Right.
And then it was 2 10-inch beards. I couldn't believe it.
So is she going to go back out this year again? I mean, have you created a turkey hunter for life there?
Oh, I have. So she got a donation of a free hunt at the NWTF show, the banquet, that local banquet, and we had donated the hunt, and so she got it full. She got a full mount, which is a trophy anyway, 2 10-inch beards. So she's all ready to go again this year. So we've got her decked out in our Spur apparel, and she's ready to go.
That's pretty awesome, man. So let me ask you this. I know obviously you're going Georgia and Alabama to open up, and then you're probably working your way north. Kentucky comes in before Indiana. So do you ever change the way you call based on some of these kinds of seasons as well? Or is it more just, you're either going to run and gun or you're going to blind, and your calling strategy is more or less the same?
I'm no expert. So I go with what's good for me. You know what I mean? I have my ways. I know what's good. I've got certain calls. Speaking of calls, we got our new Spur logo call by Woodhaven. I got to throw that in there. Sorry.
No, go ahead. That's fine, buddy.
Man, we got a beautiful call that we just got made by Woodhaven Custom Calls, and I mean, I'm just so excited to put that on there, and it sounds amazing. I can't wait to get in the woods to try it. But honestly, I've got some calls that I really like. I mean, I'm aggressive at times. I'm really soft at times, and it just depends on the bird. I mean, you got to change calls. You can't get in your head to be stuck on one call.
Sure. I just didn't know if you had a preset or a pattern that you've noticed that one type of call works better in a certain region versus others, based on maybe the time of the season or the bird themselves.
Oh, yeah. The box calls work good south for some reason. Slate, mouth calls. I've got a little call old man made down in Florida. I'm from Georgia originally, and the guy made me a little old call. I don't even know what you call this thing. It's like a little, you put the one piece in your hand, and the other piece is a little small piece of wood in your other hand. It's made out of cedar. And if I ever get it replicated, it's awesome. I mean, for Indiana birds, they love it. I don't know what it is about it, but it's a call that it's my go-to call in Indiana.
Is it like a stick and then a block of cedar, or?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. You may have seen something like it, but this one is, I mean, I've got little notches in it of turkeys that, that I've taken with it, and it's awesome. I mean, they run to it for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Wow. So is it kind of like almost like a pot call, but you're just using a box and getting that friction in there to get that sound, and it's maybe the cedar gives it the right pitch?
No, it's actually a little. The one that I put in my left hand is kind of little. It's kind of like a sliver of cedar, and you put the chalk on it. It's almost like a stick of cedar, and it's not real big. And then the other one's kind of a hollow little box, with a little reed, like a little reed piece on it.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
And you just strike it on that stick, and man, it makes a really, really, really good hen sound. And they love it. I mean, I don't know it's real soft. I mean, it's not a real loud call, but I mean, I've got them sound like they're about to blow their heads off gobbling at it. I mean, I don't know what it is.
What you said a while ago there, Mike, about knowing when to call aggressively, knowing when to soften it up a little bit, or kind of just basically hush up and not call any. That to me is like the biggest a piece of the puzzle. That if a guy can figure that out and do a good job of that, being patient, knowing when to call and when not to call, that's what makes a good turkey hunter. And I have to say that I haven't always figured that one out. I try to let the bird tell me what it wants to hear, because sometimes you'll just kind of, they won't be answering me, and I'll just be tempted to keep grabbing every call in my bag to try to get them to light up on something. And it gets a little frustrating for my end, but it's probably because I'm not a very good turkey caller.
Well, what I've learned over the years, and I've heard from a lot of older guys, and it's been better turkey hunters than me and whatnot. But when they get quiet, you better be ready, because a lot of times that bird is coming. When you think, a lot of guys are so overwhelmed with the gobble and they want it to be gobbling, but when they quit gobbling, sometimes they're coming, and you better be looking.
Yeah, and it seems like the bigger, more mature birds, they'll shut up and come in shut-mouthed almost every time. It's like they're not real vocal. You get your two-year-old birds, and they're gobbling their head off a lot of times.
Yep.
So, I'm sorry, JP, did you have something there?
No, go ahead, Dick.
Okay, go ahead. Well, I wanted to kind of go back and you mentioned just briefly your game call, your Spur game call from Woodhaven. I want to get back into your apparel brand and talk about that just a little bit, and then also talk about that new game call, because you mentioned taking it out there in the woods and hunting with it, and I'm not sure I'd take that out hunting, to be honest with you, because that looks like a showpiece. I mean, it's kind of like something you want to hang on the mantle.
It is. It's so pretty, man. I'm so taken back by what Woodhaven did with our logo on that call, and I mean, yeah, I'm gonna use it. I've got one I'm gonna sign to myself and put a date on it and put it on my mantle. But I am gonna use one and on our show and stuff. But just immediately after we got that one made, the response was really good, and now we're in the process of making a box call by Woodhaven, which is gonna have a really pretty Spur logo on the top of it with a feather engraved. I'm really excited about that too. So
I'll tell you something I'm excited about. I got online yesterday, and
he didn't even tell me he was going to do it.
I didn't even call JP up and say, hey man, I'm getting ready to place an order. You want to get in on this? I should have done that. A good buddy would have done that.
I know,
Mike,
man.
But,
it's tough finding good friends these days.
I got on that site, and I went and looked, and man, I fell in love with that the short sleeve shirts. The brown color and the orange spur and the feather behind it. That's a good looking shirt. I'm looking forward to getting that back. And also ordered a hat. You got a real good looking logo there. Tell our listeners a little bit about the different types of apparel they can find online and where they need to go online to find those.
All right. Well, it's boneheadbrand.com is our online store, and my brother, he's a disabled vet. He lives down there in Georgia, and that's where our online store is. So he takes care of that for me, and I really appreciate him for doing that.
He does a fantastic job, by the way. I placed that order, and it wasn't Man, it couldn't have been 20 minutes later. It said your order has shipped. I got a notification. He was on top of it.
Yep, he processes them first thing in the morning, as soon as we get the orders in, and I'm just so thankful that I can do that for him, and he can help us out and get this. He does a great job. But as apparel wise, we're about a year old now, and we're trying to get more women's stuff. We're trying to get more kids stuff. We've got some really cool hoodies and long sleeve t-shirts and short sleeve shirts, and coming up with different designs all the time. And man, I've got a really cool design coming up. I love the one you were talking about with the feather.
Yeah, I really like that one a lot.
Well, thank you. And then, so we do a lot of, when I say we do, but I draw a lot of our stuff. I love to draw. I've always been creative in that way. And the new Spur logo that you see, we call it the double Spur. It's the small Spur. It's a big Spur with a little small one. If you use your imagination, you can see there's two Spurs. And it's been when I came up with that one, it just took off. The Spur word is really cool. I love it. It's my go-to, I guess. But the new one, it felt like I hit a home run when I came up with that one. But we have some great apparel. People don't understand, like, when you look at apparel, our quality. That was one thing I wanted to do when I started this company. Nothing against Walmart, nothing against any box store, whatever. I wanted a quality apparel. I didn't want to skimp on. I know sometimes the price is maybe a little bit above like a $10 shirt or whatever, but it is a quality piece of apparel, quality hoodies, everything.
Well, yeah, a shirt or a hoodie is only so cool if you can only wear it once and it shrinks up and you got to give it to somebody smaller than you, So there's something to be said for quality, no doubt. And obviously, the Bonehead stuff is doing well also. And you mentioned your television show, so I do want to give you a second there to tell us all where the show's headed for this coming season. I know you said you had spring stuff as well as fall stuff coming up, and where can people find that?
And don't forget to mention the website for the Bonehead gear also again. Oh, you already did? Yeah. JP just told me you already did. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, boneheadbrand.com.
I missed that. Okay, well, there may be some listeners like me.
He doesn't pay attention real well, Mike. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry.
Y'all are special. That's why I like y'all.
Yes, we are.
We are definitely special.
No, y'all are great. I love y'all. Ever since I met you last year at the Louisville show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so our show airs March 26th. And then we started our own. I was with Primal Instinct for the last couple of years on the Pursuit channel, but we have switched to the Hunt channel, and we are now Edge of the Wild is our new show, and I'm a part owner in that show. So me and Buddy Stafford, my partner with Spur and Bonehead, bought into this show, and it's a brand new show called Edge of the Wild on the Hunt channel.
And that's March 26th, correct?
That's right, March 26th on the Hunt channel.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to that. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this. You killed an absolute giant 2 seasons ago in Indiana. Is it Stump Grinder? Did I get that right?
I did.
Yeah, his name was Stump Grinder, right? That was.
Yes.
Tell us how he got his name, and tell us a little bit about that hunt. I got to hear about that.
So, Stump Grinder's officially, let's go official with Boone and Crockett says it's officially the largest buck ever taken on a TV show with a bow and arrow in the state of Indiana.
No kidding.
Very impressive.
No kidding. That's what they say. That until somebody comes out and said they videoed a bigger deer, it's as of right now, it's the largest.
And so, is there a place in the Boone and Crockett book for you now? Do you have your own page?
Well, I've talked to them about it, trying to see if they would add that, because now with all the TV shows and stuff like that, so they're talking about it.
Yeah, that's a legitimate category.
Yeah, I think
it is legitimate, but I got to be completely honest with you right now, Mike. Got to be totally honest. I'm coming for you, man. I'm gunning for you, buddy.
Aren't we all?
That's my goal.
As of let's see, so that was 2 seasons ago, because last season apparently nobody broke the record, and I thought it wouldn't take long for somebody to break it, and I'm sure they will. I mean, there's no doubt with everybody that's out there, the amount of deer and the awesome deer that we have in Indiana, somebody will break that record soon. But as of right now, it scored 191 and 4/8.
Awesome deer.
And actually was like right at 201 the night I'd taken it as green score, and I was like, oh gosh, I mean, not many people have ever killed a 200-inch deer, and that was I couldn't believe it when we rough scored it at 201, but then, you know, as fate has it, it dropped with the drying process, and then and I'll tell you what, I give a lot of appreciation to the scoring system. You know, people say they shoot a deer and they say, well, I killed a 150. Well, until the Boone and Crockett scorers put their hands on it, it really won't score 150.
Yeah, so, it's amazing how that score goes down a little bit whenever they do that.
Yeah, it's almost like the tax man. They find a way to take a little bit of that away from you. Huh?
Yeah, they do.
But it was hilarious. I told the guy, I said, man, you're killing me.
Can I buy a few inches here or there? Yeah. Yep. Tell us a little bit about how the hunt went down. Or did you know this deer? You had pictures of this deer back in the summer previous to killing him, didn't you?
I did, but he showed up on our farm that summer. No, I've never, you know, in the 6 years of owning that property, has he ever been on my property, or I've never gotten a camera. And I mean, say the year before, I probably ran 7 or 8 cameras and never have seen this deer grown up at any point in time. Well, he had a broken front shoulder. So I don't know if he got hit by a car, somebody had shot him previously, but he took refuge. It seems like he just showed up. Our farm is very nice. We take care of the animals there. We feed them. We plant big food plots, and, you know, we're just very good conservationists on our property. And I think he just took refuge, you know what I mean, on our property. And so we watched him grow all summer, and just went from one side of the farm. He was on one side of the farm when I found pictures of him, and then next thing I know, he showed up. He moved to the other side of the farm, and so the 4th evening, I mean, I told Buddy, I said, man, we've got to get this deer on camera, and we've got to do everything we can to try to harvest this deer. He's a giant. And he ended up being 16 points. He's got all kinds of crazy, I guess they're like drop tines, but they go upwards instead of down. And it makes him a cool deer. So how the name Stump Grinder came about is, we first thought Buddy called him Rototiller, because he looked like a huge rototiller. Like if you put his rack on a tractor and spun it, it looked like it would just be like a rototiller. So I was like, rototiller's not good. It's not good. So I was like, man, it looks like a stump grinder. And that's because just the way his rack was. And so we just named him Stump Grinder.
Well, it stuck, man. It's a pretty incredible accomplishment, no doubt. I mean, what was it like as he was coming in? I mean, was it something you spotted him from a long way off, or was it bam, he's there? How did that go down?
Well, we were just inside the woods there, and on a couple of white oak acorn trees, and the deer usually come normally to the soybean field from the creek, and so we were set up. I had been watching him all summer come out in that corner. He'd come out in that corner probably 80% of the time, and another corner maybe the rest of the other 20% maybe, and or between the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went on in there and set a stand up and got everything set up and did a little bit of trimming and got out. And for a month and a half, I'd come home from work or so, and I would ease out there and stand in the bushes and watch across the field with my binoculars, and he would just watch him come out. And he would come out religiously every day, every evening. eating the bean field. So, I had him patterned. I mean, he was on a pattern. He was coming. Well, and then all of a sudden, the first evening we go in there and set up, and he don't show.
Isn't that how that goes?
Yeah. And so the next evening, he don't show. And I was, at that point, I'm literally freaking out. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Where did he go? It was like clockwork. And they know. It's just something about them, I guess they know as deer. Them bucks, them big deer, they don't make it that long and that old to be like that. So something triggers them. Well, the third night, he don't show. And this night, I'm like, all right, I'm losing my mind because somebody either taking him somewhere, and I'm sure I'd hear about it, or he's moved to another farm, or he just hung out here for the summer and now he's leaving. And so anyway, the fourth evening we go in there, and I'm talking about we ain't in the stand 50 minutes or so, and here he comes, and he comes from the field. He comes from the opposite way we thought.
Huh.
And what had come about is there was one patch of sagebrush that we had left out between the field and the fence line. That it was actually an old house place, and we couldn't get in there to cut the sagebrush. I mean, if I had to bet, that's where he was bedding. He was staying right there in that sagebrush patch, and because that's where he came from.
Doesn't take much cover to hide a big deer. Isn't that amazing?
Yep. And so, like I said, he had a broke front shoulder, and he was nursing it. It seemed like through the summer, and he never would. And what's funny was he stayed away from all the other big deer, our legitimate 130s, 140s. He stayed away from them instead of packing up like the normal bachelor group. But he stayed with a spike. If you saw this 6-inch spike, you saw him. He was, if you saw that 6-inch spike, he was coming.
You knew it was on.
He was somewhere with that spike. It's the only deer he hung with.
Amazing. Well, Mike.
So, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I thought you were closing out there. I'm sorry.
Oh no. So I was just trying to finish answering your question. So I had seen him so many times in the summer that I honestly didn't get excited. I mean, if you watch the footage, we'll have it on the show this year. But when I'd seen him so many times, it really didn't affect me because I had a history all summer with him. But after I shot him, then I was tore up. I mean, I
could only imagine.
Tore to pieces.
Yeah, I get a little excited myself, and I've never killed one that big, not even close.
Yep. So I appreciate y'all letting me be on here, man. I really do.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, our pleasure.
And everybody can catch that on the Edge of the Wild, correct?
Edge of the Wild.
On the Hunt channel?
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, Mike, obviously you got a lot of stuff going on with Bonehead Brand, Edge of the Wild. Killing big deer like Stump Grinder. We appreciate you coming on, man, and hang with us through the break. You're listening to Pro Talk Outdoors. Hey everybody, Pro Talk Outdoors about to sign off. Want to thank Mike Chambliss for coming on. Edge of the Wild TV, Bonehead Brand, obviously just launched the Spur stuff, so he's into big things, and we kind of touched on it lightly but didn't really dive into it. But to make it come full circle with our opening segment, Mike was a big donor at the Hunters Helping Haiti event. He put a lot of money in behind that, not only with gear and apparel, but he actually was a part of an auction at the end in which he put up $800 for Hunters Helping Haiti.
Awesome. Yeah, and it was just to let you know what kind of guy he is. He actually won a bow through a drawing.
Yeah.
Won a very nice Matthews Halon 32. He
Yep.
won it through
Brand
a drawing.
new.
Could have put his hands on it and walked out the door easily.
Instead, he puts it up for a live auction to let all the money go back towards Haiti. Gets into $500, $600, $700 range, and then
Mike gets back involved in the bidding process, and he bought the bow back himself
for $800. So that ought to tell you a little bit about the guy. He waited until the very last end as the auctioneer was about to say sold, and he threw an $800 on it. So
super guy.
Yeah, awesome gesture.
And seriously, folks, check out that Bonehead Brand and the Spur in particular. It's that season right now. and that's some good-looking stuff. I've got mine in the mail on the way as we speak.
Jerk. Till next time, hook 'em or hunt 'em. Pro Talk Outdoors.
Later, guys.